Hi, my name is Derek Shanana. This is my Contacts API project, part 1 for CSE 341 Web Services. So let's start with the project structure here in VS Code. I built this following MVC architecture, which means my routes, my controller logic, and my database connection are all separated into their own files instead of being crammed into one server file. In the routes folder, I have an index file that mounts my contacts routes and a contacts route file that defines the actual get endpoints. In the controllers folder, I have my contacts controller, which contains the logic for querying MongoDB. This is where I use the MongoDB driver to fetch all contacts or fetch a single contact by its object ID. And in the DB folder, I have a connect file that handles initializing the connection to MongoDB Atlas. Finally, my server.js file is intentionally simple. It just loads environment variables, sets up the express, connects to the database, and mounts my routes. It doesn't contain any route logic itself, which is what the MVC pattern is all about. And then I have my git ignore. So about my security, my MongoDB connection string is sensitive information. Um, so I never want it exposed publicly. I'm storing it in an .env file locally, and if I look at my git ignore file here, you can see I've excluded both node modules and the .env from version control. That means when I push my code to GitHub, neither of those ever get uploaded. And so come here, and then this is my GitHub, and this is the project CSE 341 contacts. And here is my GitHub repository in the browser. You can see the same folder structure I just showed you: routes, controllers, and DB folders, plus my server.js, package.json, and readme. If I scroll through the file list, you'll notice there is no .env file and no node modules folder present anywhere in this repo, confirming my credentials were never pushed. And then I have my render right here, the projects. So CSE 341 contacts. This is the project, my project on render. And so next is my render dashboard showing my contacts API service. Still loading. Okay, so this is the link. Click here. All right, so it has finished loading. So you can see it's deployed and currently live. I also configured my MongoDB connection string as an environment variable directly in render settings rather than relying on a local .env file, since that file obviously isn't included in the GitHub repo render pulls from. And also, so now I'll go back to my VS Code right here, and I want to test using a REST client. So this is my REST file, contacts.rest. This is the REST file that I created. Okay, so I'm using the REST client extension in VS Code, which lets me send HTTP requests directly from a .rest file, which is my contacts.rest here, and see the response right here in the editor. So first I'll send a GET request to my render URL contacts endpoint, which should return every contact stored in my database. So this one is for checking locally. So this gets all the contacts locally. This gets a single contact by ID locally. So this is the one that I want to use, the one that will connect to my render. So get all contacts first. I'll click here, send request, and then There it is. So it retrieves all the contacts, and then I'll now send another request to get by an ID. Okay, right, and there it is.